Hi everyone, this is Rion Paper. Welcome to another video. In this video, I'll be doing the 8 more pen questions tag that has been going around on YouTube. I never did the original 8 pen questions that Simone and Leanne Likes came up with. I might still do that at some point, a little late to the party, but it could still be fun. But this year, the lovely folks over at Simone's Discord came up with a new set of questions, 8 questions and a bonus question. And I'll be doing that. The right-hand page has nothing to do with this video. It's just there. It's another video. You can check it out if you want to. For now, it'll just add a pop of color. And I'll be using the left-hand page where I've written down the questions. And these are all questions about fountain pens and fountain pen inks. So yeah, let's dive into it. The first question from the 8 more pen questions is, do you have different uses for different pens? And I guess the answer is both yes and also a little bit no. Because most of my pens have similar nib sizes, and I just rotate them based on whatever I feel like using, inking. So, oh, hello, cat. Can you not bump into the camera, please? Yeah, I know it's almost time for lunch, but not yet. So be patient, you. Okay, let's put you... Where was I? Okay, so yeah, most of my pens, I just rotate. I don't really have very special pens or nibs in terms of that I only use them for specific things, such as if I had like a very thick stub nib, like a Pilot Parallel, I would probably only use that for headings or special lettering, but I don't really have those or use those. Most of my pens are fines and extra fines, and I use all of them for journaling, for writing in my planners. The only kind of exception, which is why there's also yes, is that I always have this pen inked with a simple black Sailor cartridge. And this is like my go-to black pen that I use in my Hobonichi weeks, where I tend to not really use any other fountain pens or fountain pen inks. I just grab this one. It has a fine Japanese fine nib, which is a really lovely fine. And I have a converter for this, and I might put another black ink in it once I run out of Sailor cartridges. Not that I don't like them, it's just, it's not my favorite black either. It's just that I still have a lot of Sailor black cartridges. So I figured let's just put them in this pen and keep writing with them. How do you choose the inks and pens you will use next? So what I usually do is either I think of a color palette that I want to, or like a theme that I want to explore. For example, these inks on the right-hand side are all inks that remind me of spring. So that's something that I might do for like when I'm about to ink my pens. I usually do a currently inked once a month. So like at the beginning of the month, I think of a couple pens and inks that I want to write with that month. And I'll just go by theme or color palette. Or I ink some pens that I really want to try, like some pen and ink combinations that I want to explore, for example, to decide whether I prefer one ink over the other, or whether I would like to get a bottle of an ink that I only have a sample of, whether I still want to keep a certain pen, things like that. I don't know if you can hear it, but my cat is getting very vocal about the fact that he really thinks it's lunchtime, which it's not yet, by the way. Which pen do you prefer for longer writing sessions? That's question number 3. I have a couple that I really enjoy for longer writing sessions, but I do want to preface that by saying that I don't usually write for very long sessions, like at a time. I tend to pick up my pen very often throughout the day, but I rarely write more than a couple sentences at once. One pen that I find super comfortable for longer writer sessions, and I've heard this mentioned so many times, is the Esterbrook SD. I just really, really enjoy how this pen fits in my hand. It has a bit of a more narrow grip section, which is something that I've come to learn that I really like. I have this pen, which is a gorgeous pen by Giants Pens, but this is a very big pen. I think the model was called the Goliath. And it also has a very girthy grip section. Now, this fits well in my hand. I don't have particularly small hands, but I found that these bigger grip sections, they make me hold my fingers in just a different angle that gets uncomfortable really quickly. Another pen that I can use for longer writing sessions is the Lamy Safari, or anything with that specific Lamy tri-grip. A lot of people find it uncomfortable, but this grip section, these types of pens, is what I used to, what I used when I was 5 years, 6 years old, and I learned how to write. So I'm so used to this grip that I find this really comfortable, and I also find that it helps me maintain a good hand position during my writing sessions, whereas with some other grips, I find that, for example, if they're a bit slippery or they don't really have a step from the grip section to the some sort of ridge from the grip section to the nib, I find myself sometimes slipping too far or gripping it, or sort of creeping onto the nib. So I find these really comfortable to just keep my pen in a good position. So I would say Lamy, Safari, or All-Star for that matter, or the Esterbrook SD. My all-time favorite pen, that is such a hard question. I have quite a few pens, and I love almost every one of them for different reasons. One pen is super comfortable, one has more of a sentimental value, one is just drop dead gorgeous. So how do I pick just one? The one I would pick right now, and this may change, is the Silverbill pen in the Golden Shine. I forgot what the model is called. It's the Simply Elegant, I believe, in the Golden Shine Blank. I just think this pen is so beautiful, and for me, it was the first more expensive pen, the first pen ever that I bought that cost more than 100 euros. Before that, I was mostly using things like the Lamy Safari, which is around 20, 25. And so this felt like a really, really big investment. And when this got delivered and when I started writing with this, it felt so special to have this. And every time I use it, I still remember that feeling, and I just really love it. It has an extra fine nib that was a little scratchy at first, but that I've since smoothed with some micro mesh, and now it is just the most wonderful writer. It doesn't have the most comfortable grip section for longer sessions, but like I said, I don't often write for very long, and I just love this pen. I also just love like turning this around in my hand and just admiring all these sparkles and the colors, and I love this. Most of these pens that I've been showing you right now don't have ink in them, which is why I am writing everything with this Lamy Safari. So that would be the Silver Bow. Simply elegant in golden shine. If you have to choose one nib size, which would it be? That is a super easy question. I would pick an extra fine nib. Most of my pens are extra fines. Almost every Western pen that I have is an extra fine. For my Japanese pens, I also enjoy fines or medium fines in case of some of my sailors. But yeah, the writing that I'm doing here, for example, like these answers, I normally don't write that big. And even that, this is like perfectly fine with an extra fine nib, but I usually write very small, no matter the paper type, no matter whether I'm writing a grocery list or journaling in my journal. I just enjoy writing small. I have always enjoyed finer nibs, even in the dark ages of my ballpoint era. So extra fine nibs all the way. My favorite nib grind, question 6. I have not tried a specialty grind yet. That's something that I would like to explore, especially the ones where the reverse side gives you a different writing experience. So for example, where you do a line like this, and then you do a line like on the other side. Well, I guess this one also gives you a different experience, but this one is not made to write like upside down. But some grinds are, and I would love to explore something like that where you can make nice big headers with the pen, but still also use it for very small writing. I would also like at some point to explore a needlepoint nib, which is like a super, super, super fine nib, just to see if I would enjoy that. But so far, yeah, I guess just a regular grind. How do you call that? What grind is on a regular nib? Or is it, I was going to say it's not ground, but I suppose you have to do some grinding on every nib. I don't know the science behind this. Educate me, please. Does just a regular out-of-the-box pen have a grind? Does it have a name? Or is it just no grind? Anyway, I don't have much to say on the favorite nib grind so far. But I'd definitely be open to exploring some of the options. If you could only use one ink for the rest of your life, what would it be? Now, this is the question that I've been going over in my head for the past week, and I've come up with the most boring answer. I would just use a black ink, probably something like Pilot Namiki Black, which is in the Pilot cartridges. That's a black that I really like. Sailor Gentle Black's also pretty good. Just a basic black ink. I do like the black inks that are more saturated. I want them to look black, not like dark gray. But yeah, I really wanted to not say black. I was considering Dominant Industry Leaf Green, which is a wonderful, wonderful green color. But honestly, if I could only use one, I think that every color at some point would kind of get boring. I mean, 70% of the fun in the whole fountain pen hobby for me is switching up my inks and trying different pen and ink combinations and matching pens and inks. So I just don't see myself picking one ink. Even picking like 3 or 4 would be very hard. But I think the one ink that can go into every pen is just a simple black. And I would probably still enjoy writing with my pens, although I would definitely miss all of the fun inks that there are. But I am going to write down Pilot Namiki Black. What's an absolute deal breaker for you in a pen or an ink? Let's talk about the inks first. So for inks, my number one gripe is feathering. Inks that feather usually also bleed. That kind of seems to go hand in hand. But honestly, I find feathering worse than bleed through, because if an ink bleeds through, I can opt to put like a sticker on the back or just not use the back of a sheet of paper. But if an ink feathers, it'll look ugly everywhere. I mean, it just doesn't work for me. I guess that's for an ink. Yeah, I guess that is my most important deal breaker for an ink. Another thing that can be hard is if it's like too dry or too wet, but then you also have the pen to play with. So if an ink is super wet, I just pair it with a pen that has like a really dry flow and it'll usually be fine. And I can do the same thing the other way around if an ink is too dry. But if an ink just feathers, that doesn't work for me. And for a pen, a deal breaker, I don't know, do I really have a deal breaker? I have some things that can annoy me about a pen, but I'm also kind of a forgiving person, so I will probably still use it. But I do not like it when a pen doesn't seal well, so the ink darkens in the pen, especially if it darkens for like the first few words of a sentence and then it lightens, like the ink is lighter again. That just makes my writing look very messy, and I really don't like that. I mean, I don't mind too much if like the ink equally darkens very slowly over time, but if every morning when I pick up a pen, the first few words are very dark and then it's lighter again, I really don't like that. So doesn't seal well. And one thing that I wouldn't necessarily consider a deal breaker, but that I do always find disappointing when like a new pen is announced and it looks very beautiful and I would consider getting it, but it's only available as a piston filler. I am a cartridge converter guy through and through. I mean, I can use a piston filling mechanism, but I just find it so much of a hassle. And usually like the advantage of such systems is that the pen can hold a lot more ink, but I never give my pens a full fill. I always partially fill my converters because I like running out of ink and I like being able to try the next ink and the next ink and just, keep switching things up. I would never want 2 or 3 milliliters of ink in a pen. Honestly, that sounds terrible to me. So yeah, it's just more effort to clean, and I prefer having to clean a cartridge pen. So piston filler, but I also do have a piston filler pen on the way. So that I bought very well, like fully aware that it is a piston filler, but it's just too beautiful, and it was a very good deal, and we're just gonna see whether whether that is enough to convince me to keep using a piston filler, or whether I find it too annoying and in the end I end up selling it. And the last question, the bonus question, what is one pen everyone should have? So I have two answers. One pen I think that everyone like starting out with fountain pens should try, maybe. I don't know if you should have it. I mean, if you've tried it and you don't like it, then by all means sell it, gift it, do something else with it. Why keep it if you're not going to use it? But I think everyone should try a Pilot Explorer, or Pilot Lightive as they're called in Europe. I have 4 of them, testimony to how much I love them. I had 5, but I sold one. I love these pens so much. I think the design is elegant. I think they are comfortable to write with. You can use them with a cartridge or a converter. They are pretty affordable, and they give you access to a really good Pilot steel nib. Which is not the one that is on here. Because now I remember at one point I dropped this pen. I completely broke the nib, or like it was bent beyond repair. So I put a nib from my Pilot Kakuno on here, which is the same nib, but it has a different engraving. This one does have the original nib, which looks a bit gross because this one is inked up with a yellow ink. But these pens are so nice. They have a standard range of inks, the pens. I believe these 3 are all from the standard line, so you can get these at all times. And then they also have a couple that are limited edition, which this mustard yellow is limited edition. They had a couple really beautiful ones last year that I wasn't able to get, but these are just so nice. I know that a lot of people will say that if you want to try a Pilot steel nib, the Kakuno is more affordable. It's a cheaper way to try these nibs, and that is absolutely true. But I just think these are so much more pretty, and I just also like my pens to look good, and yeah, I think these are a great option. And everyone already said the Kakuno, so I'm just gonna say the Explorer or the Lightive. But another pen I think everyone should have, let me write this one down first. So the Pilot Lightive, or Explorer. Another pen that everyone should have is a pen that just makes you really happy. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but you know, there are a lot of pens that are objectively good that, oh, I just smudged all of this. Wow. That was stupid. Now it kind of looks like blood. I'm so sorry. There are a lot of pens that are objectively well made, really high quality. It is not hard, I believe, to find a pen that writes comfortably once you start figuring out like what kind of properties you enjoy. But having a pen that just really fits the bill for you, that is both comfortable to write with, but that's also just looks really beautiful. And what that means can be very different for everyone. But that feeling is just really nice. Just picking a pen from your desk, picking up a pen and being like, I love this pen. And I think everyone should have a pen like that. If I had only written with, for example, something like a Pilot Preppy or a Pilot Kakuno, those are good pens. Those have a very decent writing experience. You do not need to get anything else, but just having a pen that you think is really nice I think everyone should have at least one of those, which does not have to break the bank. If there are so many options out there of wildly varying designs and colors, and I think everyone should be able to find something at a somewhat affordable price where they're like, yeah, I really like how this pen looks, I like how this writes, I just love it. I'm not going to write that down because I don't know how to summarize that in... No, you know what? I'm going to write it down. Like, a pen you love. Oh, isn't that cute? Wow, now I also smudged Pilot Light Explorer. I should stop writing. Yeah, this is what you get when you are both left-handed and just not too careful. Well, I hope you liked the video. I hope you like my answers. If you've done the 8 more pen questions on video, let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely check yours out if I haven't already. And yeah, thank you so much again to Simone and her Discord group for coming up with these 8+ bonus questions for this year. And thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.